Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about Rudy Giuliani, who continues to try to bob, weave, do somersaults, and crawl under a hole to keep from paying his creditors, but especially the two Georgia election workers, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, whom he defamed completely recklessly. He said all these. Remember, they had put ballots in a suitcase and just went down to Georgia and said all this outrageous stuff. They, in turn, had their lives turned upside down. Sued him for defamation, won, and he shortly thereafter declared bankruptcy with about $5 million or so in assets. Now, the $148 million verdict, Moss and Freeman say, and there's reason to, under the law for this, can't be discharged in bankruptcy. So he has to keep that remains a debt, and whatever money he brings in, he should be paying. So this is about his other creditors who, and this is what bankruptcy means, surpass his assets. So he files for bankruptcy. But what happened now is Moss and Freeman have come in and said, this guy, first of all, in their litigation, recall, he did everything, including just ignoring court orders brazenly to keep from revealing his assets. And the little bit we know make them seem modest, the big one being his own personal apartment that he was supposedly going to try to sell. But he has been squirrely, is an understatement, to try to keep this from happening. And that gets a lot harder once you declare bankruptcy, and now you're under the jurisdiction of the court, and there's all these creditors who have a right to their piece of things and have a right, and otherwise it's bankruptcy fraud, a crime, to know what you have so it can be divided up. Well, he's avoided that, and moreover, he's been spending completely inappropriate, like a drunken sailor, huge credit card bills, huge billings on Amazon. So he's been still living high off the hog. And it was based on that Moss and Freeman came before the court and said, you need, please, and there's legal basis for this, to appoint a trustee in bankruptcy. Basically, this person, the trustee, should just take control of Giuliani's finances and keep him from dispensing them and, not spending them, lavishly on himself, and therefore not being able to pay back his debt. So they're not saying, and it's already a little late to say, he is in bankruptcy, but they're saying that, we need a trustee. And the bankruptcy judge heard argument for 2 hours, hasn't decided yet. Giuliani's attorneys basically, threw themselves on the mercy of the court. Yeah, he's been a real jerk off and violating orders, but he's better now. We've taken away the credit cards from this 80-year-old man, and they've made it seem, at least, that he is, somewhat constrained and even in, being treated like a juvenile. But that's a point that Moss and Freeman really are, there been so many times experienced his not complying with court orders, not giving information. And here's what they told the bankruptcy judge: he's not a doddering 80-year-old, which is what a lot of people think he is. He's a shrewd and manipulative man. His reports are false, inconsistent, and late. His deadlines are ignored. And it's really true. He's not a guy who's tried to exploit the legal system as he might have, a sophisticated New York lawyer and U.S. attorney. He's just been a scofflaw. He's just been a deadbeat and just not complied with orders, and really tested the system to just, make its orders actually be complied with anyway. So they say he needs adult supervision. The bankruptcy judge was very sympathetic, although it's very complicated now that he's in bankruptcy, and the judge saw that, and whether to appoint a trustee. Giuliani's lawyer says, look, it's taken some time, but the debtor, that would be Giuliani, has been paying these expenses his own personal, and not with creditors' money, with his own money, whatever that means, because his money is now, putatively the creditor's money. How do I know that? The judge shot back, referencing creditors' concerns about lack of transparency, and it's sure been true about how Giuliani has been spending his money. So the immediate thing in front of the court is whether to appoint a trustee and sort of take over things and constrain him even more. He would have to, operate in the recesses of the grid and the world and get other cards. And somehow he seems incorrigible and, maybe just kind of playing it out, waiting it out. But we're very, very long way from justice for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, and not to mention the creditors, where he owes $148 million to Moss and Freeman, but about $4 million. But that includes lawsuits against him. He's been sued repeatedly for not paying his lawyers. And now the U.S. is coming in. They're concerned about his lawyers in the cases in which he's a defendant. Is he getting top-notch lawyers, and how's he paying for them? And they are likely to file a motion trying to, get at that. And that's where we are. We've got in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, July 10th, there'll be an argument on a motion to compel discovery, because Giuliani, scofflaw that he is, still hasn't given over basic information under penalty of perjury of what he has, what he doesn't have, et cetera, and to seek sanctions as well for his violations, which the bankruptcy judge said. I'm not surprised to hear that. Not a good sign for Rudy Giuliani. Anyway, the telling point, or the salient point, is the guy's been operating outside the law. He's just been ducking and hiding in holes wherever he can find them. And bankruptcy has been one more step there. So, but a trustee, not to mention sanctions, he does, having filed for bankruptcy, gets some protection, but he also gets some oversight from a court, and now even more from a trustee. So it's not going to squeeze blood from a stone, and it's a lot of blood, $148 million. But it will be, an advance, toward justice is the hope of Moss and Freeman, and make him, play an open hand as he's legally obliged to, and then begin to pay up this massive judgment that he dearly deserved from his complete defamation of Moss and Freeman that turned their lives upside down. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.